today, first off, I'll start with the positive news from my perspective, and I don't really care if people know it or don't know it. I know it, and I'm so happy to know that it's coming, and sooner rather than later. Israel is done. They're over. They're cowards, and they're right. They're dual nationals. And even their little sacred cow, known as the Jewish state of Israel, they don't have the courage as a proper Marine would or any other warrior. If this is your land, and it's the land that is yours and only yours, and you claim it, how could you possibly run away from it unless you were a coward to leave the rest of your brethren to die if this is your place? But they're all dual nationals, aren't they? Henry Ford referred to them as the international Jew, but he got a memo like, hey, cool that down, Henry, cool that down. Everybody who speaks the truth about this nefarious, parasitical, genocidal monster seems to have a problem. I know that. I know that well. In fact, the only reason why I'm here, which really is, all praise to God, for those that appreciate what I do, all praise to Allah. Only by the gifts of God could I possibly have the sort of qualities, and abilities, and strength, and courage, and fearlessness to do what I do. I answer to one master. That's it. Nobody else. I love Jesus an awful lot, and I do recognize his mother as immaculately conceived virgin. I see very much what Islam sees about her, the most beautiful. And I also see the mother that I had, who gave me the strength and security to be able to test the boundaries. Israel has been running roughshod over this world, and as the Sheikh referred to it, the little baby of the West has been coddled and protected and warmed. And now it is a monster, an adult monster. And we see it, the mask is off. For much of the world, the willful ignorance that people have chosen, it's pretty hard now to just repeat that tired old mantra, Israel has a right to defend itself. You've got to be a special kind of stupid to parrot that. But it's funny, isn't that the representatives that we have? Do they not represent us? Do we not pay our taxes to them if we live in this country, or America, or Canada, or the Netherlands, or Europe, or Australia? The little baby created by the West, that is this Jewish state, is in its dying days. As a warrior, I know arrogance is a weakness. The Sheikh also referred to arrogance. You got to be a special kind of arrogant. Normally, when you're committing a genocide, and we have plenty periods, we don't hear much about the genocide in Algeria, 10 million dead over there, courtesy of the Jewish-controlled France that instigated this. We look back at history, we see this pattern repeated over and over, which opens up an opportunity for me to show a book, which I highly recommend, A History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind, which brings us to the head of the snake, as I've been saying forever. Money. A lot of people will say that money is the root of all evil. That's not true. And that book will prove it right there. Money can be a servant, a tool to humanity, but when you combine money production, fake fiat money, usury-based money, fractional reserve money, compounding interest money, it's in this book, and it's there for all to see if you study history. That's why they don't want you to know history. Who controls the media? Who controls Hollywood? Who controls the politicians that supposedly represent us? And what does it say about us? If we pay our taxes and we vote, which one did you vote for? And if they did win, did they change anything? No, they didn't. They didn't. I'd like to take a poll. How many times do you think I have voted in my 55 years, in my entire life. That would be a big goose egg, 0. Why is that? Well, I think it really comes down to a book I need to write. I need to take a page out of Sheikh's book. He's written many books. I've written 0 books as well. When did unacceptable become acceptable? Why did we ever accept a choice between the lesser of 2 evils? How did that work for anybody? Did you ever feel good about that? And now we see this dog and pony show called elections, which I've been calling selections for the longest time. Never mind electronic voting machines. But okay, so wait, we got Joseph Biden with a son that smokes crack and does business with the communist Chinese and builds billions while also having intercourse with underage. Joseph Biden also touches kids inappropriately. It's funny, because if you look at the pictures of Adolf Hitler, go look at the pictures. I've got gigabytes of pictures. Go look at the pictures where he is with children and tell me what you see. You don't see what you see with Joseph Biden when he's touching kids. He's sticking his mouth and his nose up into the ears of the child. You see a child moving away. You see a child telling us the truth. You see an arrogance that allows for someone to do that in the public eye, and then you see a willful ignorance that allows that to happen. And this is our commander-in-chief. When did unacceptable become acceptable? Oh, but wait, we've got a hero. Maybe it is the false messiah, a guy named Donald Trump. Why do I know that Donald Trump was best mates with Jeffrey Epstein? Why do I know that? Why doesn't everybody know that? And by the way, who's Jeffrey Epstein? He's a low-level player. He's a low-level player in the game. He's nobody. That's why they did sacrifice him. He's nobody. He's a little peon of the tribe. Who's behind him? How many people know the name behind Jeffrey Epstein? Why do I know that name? His name is Les Wexner. That's higher on the food chain right there. That's why most of us don't know his name. How long has this game been played with corrupt so-called representatives in our so-called democracies? How long have they been having inappropriate relations? I could use stronger words, rape would be a good word, with our children. I know lovely lady, Miss Bolton, she made a documentary called Pedophiles in Parliament. It is staring us in the face. Staring us in the face. So we've got Donald Trump. Remember now, I'll quote Joseph Biden, you don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. And who is this man? Oh, General Schofield, Cyrus Schofield. Who's that? Who is this man? How in hell did any self-respecting Christian allow for a perversion of Christianity, poses Christianity, and to ally itself with a monster state known as the Jewish state, which will not only prosecute you, spit on you, kill you, defile you, and says that your Savior is boiling in hot excrement in hell and hold their holy book? How is it possible? How is it possible? Did God give us a brain? I remember the Sheikh talking about this. He didn't say as much about it tonight, but if God gave us a brain, and we, for whatever reason, and we can make a whole lot of excuses. Myself, let me just go ahead and say right now, I've been as stupid as anybody. I joined the Marine Corps. I was ready to kill or be killed. I was a mercenary for the banksters. I was an idiot, is what I was. Humility is a big deal. It's very important. I think all of us are going to have to admit to one degree or another we have been duped. Unless there's somebody out there who got it from day one. Please raise your hand if you did. Thank you for all at least being humble and honest there. We all were a bit stupid. It's just depending on to what degree. Unacceptable is unacceptable, period. And the lesser of 2 evils is something we never should tolerate. Paying taxes for genocide. How do you think God is going to look at that when we go up to meet our Maker? How do you think that's going to go when we say that I didn't know? What do you think God is going to say to that? Somehow I don't think ignorance is going to play defense when you meet your maker. And I know it ain't even in man-made courts of law. If you go on and say, I didn't know that was a crime, that is not a defense. We have got hell to pay. And I tell you what, we need to atone, all of us, myself included. We are paying for genocide. Now, the short version of the story, which I think everybody here probably knows at this point, what's happening in Gaza, I have family in Gaza. I'm in touch with them. I've just managed to send another $500 or something. I was actually, with help, sending money to them before October 7, 2023, to try and help them. I didn't have as much money as I wanted because the family that I know, who I met 16 years ago, who look at me as a father figure, one of them, a really amazing young man. He's a young man now, he was a boy back then. But he asked me a little over a year ago if I could send enough money for him to be able to buy a good quality camera so that he could be a journalist. I didn't have the money, I've been mostly poor. I've been mostly impoverished, lost everything I owned 3 times in 10 years, been in prison, tortured, you name it, blah, 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 blah. That's the price you pay. I sleep good at night. I don't fear God, I love him. He is my master. I listen to him, I love him, I pray to him daily. I couldn't send the money, but maybe that was God's way of saying no. Because if I did send him that camera, and he was able to be a journalist, given what we know about what happens to journalists in Gaza, probably he'd be dead. Instead, he's just starving with no shelter, and he's freezing cold, and his family is cold because they don't have the cold weather clothes. There is nowhere safe in Gaza. He was also witness to the burning bodies. That's actually the biggest post I've had on X. The burning bodies. You know, a young man with an IV in his arm, on a cot in the field hospitals. It's all the hospitals have been destroyed, burning alive. It was his mother who you see leaning forward as she's burning alive. He was actually there. They were there in that area. He saw that. The traumas that he's seen. His mother, Zainab, she's still alive. I met her, did a video where I interviewed her about the hell she had been through back then, 16 years ago. The amount of traumas that these people have been through, most people would just absolutely crumble, absolutely crumble. The Palestinians represent the absolute best of humanity, and most of humanity has turned a blind eye and abandoned them, including the shameful Arabs and Muslims, so-called, who did nothing. Nothing. Shame on you. You. The ones who've done that. But we all have that. Even now, why is the shame not embraced and loved? Is it not possible to disagree a bit? But instead, all these mosques out here that don't welcome this man, what does that say about the state of Islam in this country? What does that say? Shame on all them too. We do have a great opportunity, and I'm all about solutions. The atrocities we see in Gaza, and also the good men. I met Ismail Hamia several times. He awarded me both Palestinian citizenship, which I'll get back to that in a bit, and also the key to the city of Gaza. Funny enough, Donald Trump awarded Netanyahu the key to the White House. If I could trade my key to the city of Gaza for the key to the White House, what do you think I would? No, I wouldn't choose that. But it says a lot about my birth nation, that you give a patent war criminal. You've invited him to the U.S. Congress 4 times. I'm sorry, who is in charge here? How is it possible that this little Jewish state, so-called, basically gives the talking points to all of our so-called representatives? And have we done enough by going to protests and signing petitions? Is that enough? Are we going to meet down and say, yes, you did your part? No, we didn't. No, we did not. At best, we did the bare minimum. But on the positive side, I just had a meeting yesterday with a group that is part of a movement which I will be representing, inshallah. It's called Make War History. I want to explain this because here's a solution. And soon I'm going to be able to present this, God willing, that will allow me to be able to shame everybody who does not participate in this. And I mean that. Make war history. Let me tell a little bit about law, actual law, as opposed to the color of law, which everybody seems to think is actual law. Acts of Parliament are not law. The law of this land, which actually is something the British people can be proud of, goes back to Magna Carta, to common law, to the Bill of Rights, the Constitution that most British people have no clue about. Guess why this amazing contribution to humanity before the tribe, the usurers, got their grubby little mitts on this country? Guess why Magna Carta was brought into existence, primarily, of all the good things it could say? I recognize God's law as the highest law, but I recognize man-made law that is consistent with God's law to be a positive thing. Magna Carta was brought in because it was known, it was understood before they dumbed us down, that usury was unacceptable. I get back to that. When did unacceptable become acceptable? At what point did Muslims accept something that is completely unacceptable with regard to Islam? At what point? When did that happen? How many of these mosques and imams are talking about that? How many of them are getting their dirty little usury money given to them so they can keep their mouths shut, cut this man out, and play their little games so they can have the favor of the investors who allow them to live their false Islam lie? I say that as a non-Muslim, although I am in service to God, so in that sense, I am a Muslim and I'm a Christian. Is it possible to be both? Maybe there is a middle ground here. Maybe we can agree to disagree on some of the key points and acknowledge that there is only one God. I do not pray to Jesus, nor do I seek Jesus' forgiveness. I recognize him as something probably above what may be a Muslim name, and this is where we could disagree perhaps. But it was Jesus who brought me to Palestine. He's the one. Something pulled me there. It was him. And when I went there, I indeed lived what he said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. I'm a free man because I know the truth. I know the truth is God and God is truth. There is no difference between those two. It's Satan, Dajjal, Lucifer, who operates in the realm of lies and illusions. The idea that materialism is going to buy you happiness. There's a great way to illustrate this point by looking at, if you go online or if you study, you can find atheists, famous atheists. Voltaire is one of them. Anton LaVey, the creator of the Church of Satan. You know what happened to them in their dying moments? Do you know what they said? It became clear that their rejection of God comes with a price, and that your cutting of the material pales in comparison to the value of the spirit, the eternal soul within. This is something that I was never so foolish enough to confuse the corruption of the Catholic Church in the time officially. My grandmother, born and raised in Ireland, made sure that I had my first Holy Communion in catechism. The Catholic Church has not always been what it is today. It used to be something noble, but they infiltrated that too. That's what they do. They infiltrate and subvert from within, like maybe the lost that are here in this country, turning a blind eye to the things that are tenets of Islam, such as usury. Same thing with Christianity. How did any of us who call ourselves Christians accept the unacceptable of usury? How did we fail to learn the lesson of Jesus, who not only turned the tables and splashed their dirty money all over the place, but took out a whip and whipped them? That's not turning the other cheek. He didn't turn the other cheek there. That's a warrior right there. That's part of why I love Jesus. He wasn't no hippie. Make war history. Let me tell you something that we can do now, which we could have done sooner if we were really serious. I'm blessed to work with these people who are doing this. I want the Muslim community to get behind this 1,000%. Or shame on those of you who don't, because this is going to come. This is going to come. God willing, this is coming. It's coming this year. And I think maybe this genocide was the clarion call, like enough is enough. It should have been enough a long time ago. Here's the basic crux of the plan, which is an application of law. According to law, our representatives, whether you voted, didn't vote, whether you voted for the one that won, lost, whatever, indisputably and undeniably, and raise your hand if you don't agree with this, these people officially represent you in terms of law. Does anybody disagree with that? Thank you. Okay, step one, they represent us. They are bound by the treaties of which this nation has signed on to.